What about my love? Wasn't it enough? Just let me know so I can hold.
I just had to sit back and laugh when I saw this. Either way it goes, Kirk Cousins got ranked higher than Trevor Lawrence. And the dude had a season-ending Achilles injury.
Yeah, only played in 8 games.
Aaron Rodgers got ranked higher than Trevor Lawrence, which, I mean, we get that. Aaron Rodgers is a legend. But that's nasty, nasty work. All right, so we go down here. The one that I'm upset is Devontae Smith at 90. That's nasty work right there. He should have been ranked much higher.
He got disrespected. I mean, it comes with being a number two wide receiver on a team that, quite frankly, not a lot of people like. I mean, especially with the downfall that the Eagles had later on in the season and how much, I mean, negative press they got, with Nick Sirianni's antics and just the meltdown there in Philly. I mean, it's unfortunate because he's definitely one of the better wide receivers in the league. It's just...
I wonder how many Cowboys voted against him. I'll never argue the players' vote, though. So wherever they got him ranked, still you made the top 100. Right. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But the fact, this still is funny as hell to me, that the fact that they got Trevor Lawrence at 94 and Kirk Cousins at, it wasn't even close to him. Like 94 and 81 is a pretty big gap to me.
Yeah.
Where this dude went down with a season-ending Achilles injury. Now, I understand why somebody like Aaron Rodgers is ahead of Trevor Lawrence. I get it, even going down week 1. But my man, Kirk Cousins, and I've been saying this forever, so this is kind of sweet, sweet revenge for me because I've been asked the question from Vikings fans, we would take Trevor Lawrence if you would take Kirk Cousins. I said I would gladly take him. And you know what? We'd be gladly probably a divisional or championship round in the playoffs with Kirk Cousins, too, with all the weapons that we got.
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't be 9-8 for 2 seasons straight. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
So I would kindly take Kirk Cousins off your hands. Whatever you didn't appreciate, I would appreciate. And the players in the NFL have a lot of respect for Kirk Cousins when their fan base just totally craps on him all. Well, he's not with the Vikings anymore. He's with the Atlanta Falcons. But they used to crap on him so much, man. And right here is just kind of a spit in their face. Like, y'all have no idea what Kirk Cousins is that guy. He got hurt last year with an Achilles injury, and we still got him ranked at 81, even over Aaron Rodgers at this point. So, I don't know, man. And he was an MVP candidate last year, the way that he was playing. I mean, he was playing lights out, too.
Mm-hmm. I mean, in 8 games, he tossed 18 touchdowns, which, I mean, that's over 2 touchdowns per game, which is a really good clip, and only 5 interceptions. I mean, prorated across even just 16 games, right? Which is what Trevor Lawrence had played last year, 16 games. I mean, he tosses for 4,600 yards, 36 touchdowns and only 10 interceptions. That's if you take away names and you just look at those numbers, right? If you just look at those numbers, those are MVP type numbers.
Facts.
Again, he only played 8 games, so it's not like we can just say, oh, well, he was on pace for, he was on track for, but to look at those 8 games that he did play, he was incredible, right? So
say those numbers again. What was it? 4,636 touchdowns if you gave him 16 games?
16 games, he would have had 4,600 yards, 36 touchdowns, and only 10 interceptions on 69.5% completion percentage.
All right, so let's compare that to how the quarterbacks performed last year. The quarterback with the highest yardage total was Tua Tagovailoa, who had everybody that is a damn rocket ship on this team last year, and he only had 46-24. So by Kirk Cousins' total, he would have had a little bit over that.
Yes, he would have had 46-62.
Dak Prescott threw 36 touchdowns last year in 17 games. Jordan Love was number 2 at 32, and Brock Purdy was at 31. And they were talking about Brock Purdy being an MVP candidate.
Yeah, and again, this is only in 16 games, not even a full 17.
Yeah, so we could generously give him at least 37, 38. Let's just say his ceiling was 38.
Right. Yeah.
Let's say it was given 38 touchdowns and maybe 4,700 yards. He definitely would have been MVP.
Yeah. I mean, and you're talking like what, 10, maybe 11 interceptions. Like,
and Justin Jefferson almost had 1,000 yards last year.
Yeah. Like, you're telling me you have a quarterback who only has 1 interception for every 4 touchdowns he throws, roughly? I mean, that's a pretty good, that's a really good ratio. Like, I know it's not record breaking because, you know, some guy named Tom Brady and Nick Foles each had an incredible season where they just had incredible touchdown and interception ratios.
I'm
but
sorry,
like,
Justin Jefferson had a little bit over 1,000 yards. He had,
but I mean, he was even he was in and out of the lineup. Yeah.
In 10 games, he was hurt the rest of the season after that. So he had a season-ending injury too. So how many games did Kirk Cousins play? 8?
He played 8. He was 4. Wait, he was 4-4 in those games though. That is kind of the crazy thing, was he was only 4-4 last year. Now, I think, you know, we've mentioned this, especially when we talked about the AFC North, that defense needs some work. The offense wasn't the problem this past year.
Facts. So I know we're giving a comparison to Trevor Lawrence, but everybody says that this dude is the golden child and all that. 4,000 yards, 21 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. Come on, man, stop.
I mean, that's not even a 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. You throw 2 interceptions for every 3 touchdowns, like on the dot, and you know, you can look back at like his 2022 season and be like, oh, Trevor Lawrence was 7th in MVP voting. Like, Kirk Cousins has never been top 10 in MVP voting, whatever. Like, okay, well, you really want to tell me that what Trevor Lawrence has done is even comparable to Kirk Cousins? I mean, it's not like Kirk has been in great coaching situations either. And he certainly didn't come in with the profile that Trevor Lawrence had, the label of, you know, not just like the golden boy, but the next or the greatest, you know, quarterback prospect since Andrew Luck. Kirk Cousins was a backup behind RG3, and look at what he is now.
Bro, let me tell you 2 things. I made this prediction back in the day. I said that RG3 wasn't going to be able to sustain the NFL because of his series of injuries. Like, I just felt like that he wasn't going to be able to stay healthy. Neither did he stay healthy, but I also said that Russell Wilson was going to be better than him. Russell Wilson has been 10 times better the player of what RG3 could have been. And then I also said Kirk Cousins was going to replace RG3 because of bad performance. Now, that didn't happen. We understand that he got injured, but like he literally, when everybody was like, oh my God, why would they choose 2 quarterbacks? Well, the same thing just happened in Atlanta, just in a different kind of situation. People don't understand that. Like, Michael Penix Jr. is doing almost the same thing that when you draft Kirk Cousins and RG3 to be on the same team. Like, somebody's going to have to take the mantle. And Kirk Cousins was the man. Like, I don't know why people act like, you know, he was 4-4 last year, 13-4 the year before, 8-8, 7-9, 10-5, 8-7, 7-9, 8-7, 9-7. Now we're getting back to the Redskins days, but like, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he had winning records for 5 out of the 6 years that he was a Viking. And they've been historically known to have a bad defense. Like, the 13-4 season, their defense was ranked 31st out of 32 teams. Is that a Kirk Cousins problem?
Not one bit.
So if you're telling me that, like, if their defense could have at least been maybe the 20th best defense, that those 4 games could have went from 4 to 17 game win season, them being undefeated, or at least losing one of them.
You look at that year though, and he had 8 game winning drives. 8 game winning drives that year. So he, like, the Vikings, by all rights, they should have been 5-12 like in 2022. But Kirk Cousins bailed them out. He drove them downfield and scored, set him up for a win 8 different times. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, yeah, you're telling, oh man. First of all, it's a terrible defense. And second of all, yeah, Kirk Cousins is the man. Right? Like, he is a very good quarterback. He does what you ask him to do. And honestly, he gives you a little bit more. right? And I just don't think he's comparable to Trevor Lawrence where they're at in their career. Now, I do think that availability should play a part in these rankings, just because, like, you know, if you aren't available to play, then what good are you? But I mean, he was available. He was there for half the season, so I guess that's something. But he was incredible when he was there in 2023. And I mean, if you want to point out to the 4-4 record, okay, well, go look at Trevor Lawrence's record last year too, and tell me how different it is. Like, even though he played double the games, he had the same exact winning percentage. So, yeah. I don't know,
and
man.
Then today, like Dylan said, like, you know, Mekhi Blackmon tore his ACL, so you know, Kyrie Jackson, you know, God rest his soul, like passed away, and now you know. You know, Blackmon tears his ACL, so there's 2 possible starting corners like going off the team. Like, I don't see how. Shoot, man, I don't see how the Vikings might not be one of the worst teams in the NFL this year. Like, I just don't see them moving the needle. Like, I get it, T.J. Hawkinson and Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson being on that team, but that's just not enough for. And who they get? They got Aaron Jones on that team now. Like,
they're gonna need a Sam Darnold masterclass. But from what I've seen from Darnold, and I mean, he was my favorite quarterback in that class. Quite frankly, I know he hasn't panned out the way anyone thought he would. But you know, I think he'll have a solid year for Minnesota. But you can't be just solid on that team and expect to win, because you have to be phenomenal. Kirk Cousins was phenomenal, putting up MVP numbers, and he was 4-4 with that team. Like, you can't be just solid with this Minnesota team and expect to win a lot of ball games. Like, that's just not realistic.
Here's the other thing too, man. Here's what I can't stand. So it's like with Dak Prescott and Kirk Cousins are like the same quarterback to me. And here's why. Because when the going gets rough, they're the 2 that get the most blame. Oh, Kirk could have been a little bit more mobile, or I wish he was more mobile. Or, you know, when Dak's offensive line is getting old and decrepit, oh, he can't get us into the playoffs. So people don't understand it's a team game at the end of the day. And I hate how quarterbacks just get the automatic blame. I get that they make the most money, but like, it is what it is. They have the ball in their hand 98% of the time, like every single offensive snap. So here's I mean, they touch the ball 100% of the time when they're out there. Like, let's just be real, regardless if they're giving a handoff or not. So, but on the other side of that too, man, when you have the 31st ranked defense in 2022 and you guys are 13-4, that's not a Kirk Cousins issue. Whenever your defense is coming off the field so goddamn fast where he can't go in there and, you know, they're already tired. Like, let's just call it what it is. They're already tired, and now you're just jumping back on the field. And then Dak Prescott, you got 1 good receiver. And then you've had 2 running backs who've just been inconsistent, you know, throughout the years. And then you had Michael Gallup, who we're going to talk about later, who couldn't stay healthy in his 6 years of him playing. So, like, never really had like a bona fide, like, I understand they had Dalton Schultz, but like they never really had a bona fide like tight end since Jason Witten has been there.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I hate it for those 2 guys, and I've always seen it on the other side of the fence where Kirk and Dak, like, people hate them, but I guarantee in the last 3 years, if you were to put them on teams that just were really a quarterback away, really, like the Jaguars, like, let's just see, like,
I mean, maybe even you could probably even throw Tennessee in there.
Tennessee, the Seahawks. Like, I love Geno Smith and what he's done the past 2 seasons. But you can't tell me that Kirk Cousins or Dak Prescott wouldn't have been an upgrade over Geno Smith. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Or the Cardinals the last couple of seasons, like, they weren't, people want to talk about them, but they weren't all the way bad. They just were, you know, Kyler Murray's been like this and hasn't been healthy.
Yeah. I mean, even the Jets, when as soon as Aaron Rodgers went down, like, they're a team who, again, it's all speculation at this point, but they're a quarterback away because they they still had offensive line issues, but everywhere else they had some dogs. I mean, their defense, really good unit. I mean, they had wide receivers, Breece Hall in the backfield, right? They were just completely different without Aaron Rodgers back there.
But that's what I love about us is because like we love football at the end of the day. So I'm very neutral when it comes to analysis. It's not I hate this player or this, that, and the third. Like I can't help the way that I evaluate somebody, and if that comes off like hate to somebody else, that's your problem, not mine. At the end of at the end of the season, or at the end of the day, like it has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with you not being able to see that there are two sides of the equation, and that's like me saying Will Levis is trash because I'm a Jacksonville Jaguars fan. That's one of our biggest rivals. My rivalry with another team has nothing to do with my evaluation of Will Levis. And if people think that Will Levis is going to be bad this year, that dude's been grinding his ass off this season, has not said anything. Bringing Calvin Ridley and those boys out to Florida and things like that and working out with those guys instead of like somebody like, and I know people hate me saying it, but I'm going to just go ahead and say it anyways. Like J.J. McCarthy practicing with Adam Thielen. The dude's not even on your team.
Yeah.
I get it. Like you're a pro and you want to work out with another pro, but like you couldn't tell me that Justin Jefferson just got paid and I'm sure he's going to want to win. Like you can't be like, yo, JJ, it's JJ. You want to go, let's go do this. How can you make me better as a quarterback? You ain't even practicing with your teammates, bro.
Why build chemistry and get timing down with wide receivers who you aren't even throwing to? Like
old ass
that
Adam
makes
Thielen.
no sense.
I'm an Adam Thielen guy. I got his jersey, but like, damn, brother.
He's in Carolina now. Like, why?
Same thing with Bryce. I got to keep the same energy with him. I'm a Bryce fan. But you can't tell me another quarterback's going to go to Carolina and have success. Let's stop the madness there. Like CJ Stroud would have been in the same situation as Bryce.
Yeah.
I don't know how people just don't see that either. But the point of the matter is like NFL players have enough respect to put Kirk Cousins at 81 and Trevor Lawrence at 94. And people's own fan bases don't have the respect enough to understand how good the dude has actually been. Justin Jefferson doesn't have 1,000 yards in 10 games without a Kirk Cousins. It just is what it is. You don't go 13-4 without a Kirk Cousins. You don't have the success that you've had over the years with one of the worst defenses the past couple of years without Kirk Cousins. It just is what it is. Like you're asking too much out of the man. But then I can look at my quarterback and honestly say like, let's put it like this, Khalil, and I'll always say this situation. Don't let Kirk Cousins in the playoff game, the first playoff game, almost throw 5 interceptions, but really throw 4. And they ended up winning the game because Dalvin Cook got them in field goal position. They be dragging Kirk Cousins on Monday morning, dragging him, talking about our quarterback can't play like this, man. But when Trevor Lawrence did it, he's a hero. He's amazing, man. He got
he's
us
the
out
savior
of
the franchise. Come on.
Yeah, that's just how I feel, personally.
Yeah.
Like, but I'm very neutral and I'm very down the middle with everything. So let's get over to these comments, man. I didn't mean to miss y'all comments. It's me and Khalid get on a good tangents. Dana says Cardinals healthy to start camp. Only John Gaines limited. Big change from the last few years. That's what's up. Yeah, a lot of people have had some injuries. That is a shame. Gaines was the last year's camp ACL tear. It's still limited at the moment. Yeah, shout out to Mekhi Blackman. Hopefully, and it's like I told somebody the other day, Achilles and knee injuries and ACL injuries are a thing of the past. Like you can come back the next year from them things like totally healthy. Medicine, like, has, what they call it, sports medicine has been so good throughout the years.
I mean, the fact that Aaron Rodgers was trying to come back if they were in the playoff hunt just a few months after tearing his Achilles, that's unheard of. It used to take at least a full year for an Achilles injury. Not to mention Aaron Rodgers is probably a good 10, maybe even 15 years older than most of the people who are like, I'm trying to get back up there for my career after tearing my Achilles. So that makes it even more impressive. And I think that just goes to show, like you said, like how far sports medicine, sports science has come, and just our knowledge of how to reconstruct certain ligaments in the body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw like somebody doing the ACL or the Achilles surgery, and how they do it with like a piece of celery the other day. It was crazy. It was wild. I was like, oh, that's how they do it. Sarah says one thing I give Kirk credit for is dude never misses games. Last year was the first season he missed significant time.
Yeah, you go back to 2015. You go back to 2015. 17 games, 16, 16, 15, 16, 16, 16, 16. Like he missed one game ever since like his first full season as the starter. Until this past year, missed one single game. And I don't even know the context of that. It may have been that they benched their starters because they were 10-5 that season in the games that he played. So it's possible that they're like, we're resting you because we have nothing to play for. I mean, either way, only missing one game over that span is really impressive.
Dylan said the Vikings are in a world of hurt, especially if they can't run the ball again this year. And I don't think Aaron Jones is going to be your total solution. I mean, I'm an Aaron Jones fan. I have been since he's been in the league. But, like, you guys don't have a solid number 2. It just is what it is. Y'all keep thinking that Ty Chandler is going to be able to be that guy. It's the same thing how I feel about the Jaguars. They expect Travis Etienne to be the guy. We don't really have a bruiser. If anything, bring back Leonard Fournette or something. At this point, like at least try. They're not doing anything. What's up, Coach? Dana said Jeff Gladney for the Cards passed in 2022. The the Vikings preseason is bringing up sad memories. Best of luck to you and your team. Yeah, all I hear is about the Vikings, man. Vikings, like this and that. Bro, our fan base is full of Trevor meat huggers. Hey, go watch UCF Jaguars podcast today, Burn. Like that dude was talking about he had 2 other guys on there, and the one guy was like a Trevor Lawrence meat hugger, and the other dude, I think his name was Jaguars Unlimited or something like that. He was actually being critical of Trevor. I was like, okay, my man, I see you. Everyone else that JJ was throwing to was on the Minnesota Vikings. Adam was just only one that caught the media's eye. Okay. Well, thanks for being the voice of reason for me, Dylan. Maybe, excuse my ignorance, but, when everybody's, I'm not all into, that's my bad for not looking out all the way up. But, when the media, that's all they're posting is that. You see how perception becomes reality real fast for a lot of people like me that don't pay attention to everything Vikings. But that's still, I mean, who else from the Vikings was there? It must have been some backups or something, because if it was Justin Jefferson, that would have been all over the media. So what other Vikings were there? Why are we talking about Trevor Lawrence? Can we get some chicken parm already? Vern said they're banking on Tank Bixby. Unfortunately for Tank Bixby, I think he's just going to be that all-around great college running back. I don't see him being great in the NFL, but I'll give him one more year. We'll see what happens. I hope we can pull at least a little bit out of what he was at at Auburn, because he was a beast. But I'll never forgive him from that blunder he did against Alabama a couple years ago. He could have been such a hero.